Yeah, my name's Todd McFarlane, and I'm the creative art director on the new video game from EA called Kingdoms of Amalur, The Reckoning. This company was started by Curt Schilling, who's a former Major League Baseball player, and he, as he was at the tail end of his career, was thinking about what he was going to do once he retired as an athlete. So he gave me a phone call at the end of his career and said, and I had met Curt in the past, him and I were acquaintances, and he said, "Hey Todd, I'm going to start this video game company. I'm a big, huge gamer. I've got this idea. I want to fly you in, a couple other people in. I'm going to pitch you the idea, and I'm looking for an art director." I asked him if he could give me control over all aspects of the game, everything from characters to backgrounds to spell casting. He said yes. We got it started developing it. He ended up picking up another development house called Big Huge Games that was a console-based version of the idea that he had first pitched me. We got developing on that, and then we went around talking to various companies. EA came in and liked what they saw and ended up putting some money into it and said, "We'll help distribute and get it launched and put out into the marketplace," and here we are. The biggest draw was just the video game medium in and of itself. I mean, I dealt with, comic books where I started my career. I make toys now for a living. Dealt with Hollywood, both in television, animation, and filmmaking. Done some directing and music videos and stuff. So it's just another outlet of art, another medium, if you will. It has a different set of rules, but it's still art in its basic sense of it. And so for me, it was I'd created a character called Spawn that had been licensed into video games, but I was always the guy at the end that they said, "Hey, do you like what we've done? We need you to sign off. It needs to go out into the world." And there were some things they did that sort of irritated me, and I always vowed at one point I'd be on the other side and have input from day one into a video game so that when it came out, it was closer to what I had in mind. The people that are sort of big Todd McFarlane fans will probably be let down because they're pretty loyal and they want it to look like my style. That wasn't the undertaking I took. For as much as I like my fan base, and there's just many people know who I am, and there's just many people who play video games. I was way more concerned about talking to the people who play video games. So I wasn't concerned about doing something that was my art. I was concerned about having some kind of input into us putting out a role-playing game, an RPG game, that would actually speak to the people who play those types of games, which basically meant that it needed to be a big, huge, open-world game. The quests needed to be interesting, the characters needed to be interesting, and then even sort of the silly stuff like the lighting and the spell casting and the weapons, and then all the big animation and the action had to be sort of at the forefront of all of this, so that no matter which direction they went and how they decided to play the game, because role-playing, players are slightly different than people who are playing a racing game or a first-person shooter where it's very linear, right? Where role-playing game, you build this world and then you hand the steering wheel over to the player and you say, go wherever you want. And we had to make sure that all those aspects were as sort of skillfully done as they came to expect, and even more importantly, that each one of them had sort of raised the bar slightly so that when it was all said and done, they'd walk away from it going, "Wow, I play a lot of RPG games, but that Reckoning, that's just kind of cool," right? I mean, we spend years developing. We spend tens of millions of dollars getting this thing out. We have all these sort of goofy conversations behind closed doors about the theory of how we're going to get there and how smart we are. But the end consumer, when they're done with the game, only have three emotions: love it, hate it, it was okay. That's it. Everything gets distilled to those three emotions, and we're just hoping that most of them walk away going, "It's kind of cool, wasn't it?" And they'll tell their buddy. In the comic book, which is where I sort of made my career, that's a different sort of mindset artistically because you got words and pictures, so you have to read it, and then what I have to do when I'm telling a story is to actually pick singular sort of still pictures and make those sort of tell a story over and over. We don't have sound, you don't have music, you don't get sound effects, you don't get to have animation, which is sort of the big thing, and it's not really 3D, which is what a video game. So there's all that depth that goes into video games that I don't have the luxury of when I'm doing comic books. But the upside of it is that the video game, especially for role-playing game, like I said, unlike TV and film and comic books and even novels, that has a director, if you will, I get to implement those things, and then you as the consumer have to follow behind me. I've set everything, you just go along with my story. The great thing with video games, especially an RPG game, is that we sort of build the story, the backdrop of the story and the characters, although ours is really an open-ended character. And we build sort of this canvas, and then we hand it over to you, the consumer, and then you basically get to sort of turn everywhere. So the challenge then becomes, wherever they go, we had better have done an interesting enough job with enough skill, with enough interest, and make it as user-friendly as possible, so that no matter what it is that they want, whatever experiences they want to get from this sort of entertainment park here, that they walk away with it being very fulfilled. Whether it was questing all day long, or whether it was battling all day long, or somewhere in between, both of those components and everything stuck between it have to actually resonate. I think that the backdrops and the environment itself are just, if you just sort of take time to just look at it. I mean, we actually have these sort of clips where the camera is sort of craning up and down, and I keep saying, I wish that the character could actually see the same thing we can see with our eyes, because you get to scale up all these buildings, just to sort of see the world. I mean, again, the movie Avatar, part of the thing that was interesting about it was just looking at it, right? I mean, minus whatever the story was, just looking at this world was kind of intriguing. And then I think that, you know, historically RPG games, sometimes the action part of it has been a bit of an afterthought, if you will. It's not. I don't get a sense that they've made that priority number one. And I wanted to make sure that we sort of raise the bar, that it's not that you have to do, you know, the amount of action that's in there, but if you're gonna go there, if you're gonna open the door called, you know, action and encountering an enemy or something, then that thing should sort of set you on your heels going, wow, that's crazy, man. Hey, Joe, you see what we just did here? Look, I'll do it again. Boom. And there should be a wow factor to it, that you just go, I'm going to do that again, right? Just because it's just fun to do. Hit a couple buttons, make it simple, and then have a good time. When you're creating an entire world, right? I mean, which is different than, you know, creating a singular character, right? I mean, you know, the world of Batman is sort of dark, and it's Gotham City is gothic, right? And same with the world of Spawn that I created. This is broader than that, you know. And I think if you hit it with the same tonality, I think you're sort of, you're not sort of giving enough people enough variety to sort of enjoy the experiment as much as they can. Now my 12-year-old, which is my youngest, I can give him any game, and he plays any game, and he kills me and beats me, because I never quite got the dexterity of all those buttons. I can't survive long enough in any of these sort of action, sort of fighting ones. But what I would do is I employ a lot of young guys, and at lunch they play all the games, and I stand behind them and watch them for hours. And I'm always intrigued as to like why the game can't do certain things. And so when I came on board as the art director, I asked all those questions. And there's only 3 stoppers when you ask a question. Technology can't do it, Todd. Too much money, timing, can't do it. You know, we got a deadline. But every now and then you keep asking questions, you get silence, you get the pregnant pause. And that means then, yeah, I guess we can do it that way, Todd. This is how we've always done it. And those are the ones that I was trying to break. The stereotype of, just because they've worked on 5 prior games and they did it a certain way, that now technology allows you to think a little bit outside the box. Don't self-edit yourself. Don't self-edit your imagination. Let it be a technical or a money answer. Don't let it be an imagination answer. And so those are the places that we wanted to go into and raise the bar up a little bit.